You've probably heard of the saying, it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean, which either means that you have a micro penis and you're trying to convince a girl that it's not a big deal, or you're a girl trying to comfort a guy who has a micro penis. It's totally the size of the boat, but probably not in the way that you usually measure it. I'll get back to boat size in a minute, but first let's talk about the other ways that humans decide who they're going to do the no pants dance with. The primary way is just by looking at someone. I know it's super shallow, but it's the truth. If you ever say that someone is beautiful on the inside, that probably means that they're not beautiful on the outside. That's just a fact. Most people rate someone's looks on a scale from 1 to 10, otherwise known as the Trump scale. If you take the entire human population and put them on this scale, it looks like a standard bell curve, with the average person being a 5. This means that only 0.1% of you are 10s and way over exaggerating your marketability. Before you start thinking that I'm full of myself, I totally know that I'm a 6, maybe a 7 on my best days. Anyway, most 9s and 10s usually only get with other 9s and 10s, leaving the 1s and 2s to get it on with each other. This is incredibly detrimental to the human population because after enough generations, we'll end up with divergent evolution, with one subspecies of incredibly attractive people and one not so attractive. A better way of mate selection is for all of the 9s and 10s to get off of their high horses and mate with the 1s and 2s. This will bring the average human attractiveness up, creating a much more attractive species. But not just the 1s and 2s, they should totally get with us 6s and 7s every now and then. Now before you all blow up my comments section, please realize that I'm only one person and there isn't enough time in a day for all of you. Speaking of time though, the duration of sexy time is often used to project or diminish masculinity. However, the usual idea that manly men last longer is completely untrue. Fatter men who happen to have a higher amount of the female sex hormone estrogen last on average 7.3 minutes, whereas skinnier or healthier men who have more testosterone last only 1.8 minutes. Also keep in mind that this is an average, so if you're a super manly man who's able to do the horizontal tango for 10 minutes, you're allowed to do it for 1 minute 12 times. That way it all averages out correctly. So ladies, if you're unhappy with the duration of the performance, this just means that your guy is super manly and you should get off of his case about it. But back to the saying it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean. As I stated in the beginning, this saying is completely false. However, when we talk about boat size, nobody really talks about the length of the boat. It's all about tonnage. But since your boat is anchored to your body on one side, we're not able to get an accurate weight measurement until autopsy. Luckily, we have an accurate substitute when it comes to boat size measurement: water displacement. Penile water displacement is the most accurate measurement for size that we can take while someone is still alive. And luckily, you can find out your PWD or D size at home. Before you get any weird ideas, the D in D size is actually the first initial of the person who came up with this method, which is borderline narcissistic but oddly appropriate. To get your D size, you'll need to fill a bucket to the top with water. But since water can have different densities based on temperature, you'll need to cool the water down to 1 degree Celsius, just above freezing. For any of you Neanderthals who use Fahrenheit, Google the conversion. I'm not going to do your math homework for you. The easiest way to do this is by adding ice to the bucket and then placing the bucket in the freezer for a few minutes. When the ice is completely melted, your bucket is ready. This should go without saying, but you'll want to make sure that you're, before doing the test. In order to stop your skin from absorbing any water and messing up your calculation, you'll need to coat your boat with some sort of oil. The original method calls for some sort of animal-based fat like lard. However, recent studies seem to suggest that coconut oil will work just as well. Hey, future me here. I tried to get a close-up of the test for you, but apparently I knocked the camera out of frame while I was getting into the bathtub. And for reasons that you'll see later, I'm not really able to do the test again for a while, so you'll just have to use your imaginations. Step into the tub and completely submerge your boat for 5 seconds. The water that spills out the side is your first water displacement measurement. Simply take the amount of water in the bucket at the start and subtract the amount left over after the test. Write this number down somewhere for later. You'll then need to perform the test again, using water that's been heated up to 99 degrees Celsius, just under boiling. The easiest way to accomplish this is to boil a pot of water and dump it into your bucket. By the time you're able to perform the test, the temperature should have dropped. Perform the test again, making sure to keep your boat fully submerged for at least 5 seconds. You may feel a slight tingle with this one, but that's completely normal. Now Now that you have your two measurements, average them together. This is your D size, or penile water displacement. The ideal D size is 0.50 liters. For the curious, mine was 0.87. Now before you go thinking that this video is incredibly sexist because it's only focusing on boat size, there is a way to measure the size of your ocean using vaginal water intake, or p-value. That's kind of a confusing name given the usual scientific usage of that term, but hey, I'm not the PhD who came up with this. I obviously don't have the necessary equipment to perform this test, so we'll use a close substitute. Since you won't be able to stop water absorption the same way as with D size, you'll want to add a cup of blended sugar and flour for every liter of water in your bucket. This should stop your body from absorbing too much of the liquid. Stand over the bucket and using a turkey baster or other similar device, inject the water. You'll want to make sure that any spillage drops back into the bucket. As with measuring D size, you'll want to perform this test twice, once using 1 degree water and again using 99 degree water, and then average the two together. It's quite easy to remember the ideal p-value because, as with the scientific term, you don't want it to be any higher than 0.05 liters. Any more than that and it's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. So there you have it, all of the important information you need in order to find the best mate for you. And the next time someone tells you something stupid like you're beautiful on the inside or it's the size of the boat that matters, you'll know better. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video or you learned something, shame on you, but also give that like button a click. If you'd like to see more from me, I put out new videos every weekend, so make sure to displace that subscribe button. But in the meantime, if you'd like to watch one of my older videos, how about this one?